And wow, let's just say the Union, throughout this entire season of New Horizons, is just getting in worse and worse galactic positions. I mean, like just watching this episode, and what's funny is that this was of their own doing this time. So,
Oh yeah.
but before we get any further, I want to say welcome to the chat. Welcome to another Nerdporial after show talking about the Orville season 3, episode 8. This one called Midnight Blue. And I want to say, hey, what's going on to my co-panelist, DJ Ronnie G. How you doing?
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, Notaporial.
Thank you for being here. And got my two special guest stars, returning for the first time since episode 1 is Brandon, the anime guy. What's up, Brandon? Thanks for coming back.
What up, Admiral?
Wait,
Yes.
I gotta do the, I gotta do it now. Wait.
Never told you how, Admiral. 60 seconds, Admiral.
There you go.
Yes. Man, this one. Few thoughts on it, but I'll wait for just a little bit to expound upon, especially the first one. There's one major issue I have with the story.
Okay.
Continue.
And we got my other special guest star, my co-panelist for all my Better Call Saul after shows, but for the first time on my Orville after show. Let's give a warm welcome to Steve, the Prophet of the Dragon.
Hey, I didn't fall asleep on my keyboard this time. I made it. It's a miracle. It's only 2:00 in the morning, right? I mean, thank goodness I worked till 12, right? Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for having me. I am far from an Orville expert, but I do have opinions. I am interested to see what you guys have to say because you guys are much smarter than I am. But as Nosferatu said, apparently I am the eye candy. So there we go.
Yeah, I gotta work on my jawline. So there you go.
Dovey, real quick. Sorry, Dovey, learn to email. I did get it. Try again.
But I want to say hello to the chat. Obviously, Dofi Sedovius again is here. Welcome. Nosferatu the Vampire, Atheist for the Cause is here. Yep, this part seems pretty permanent. Yep, and Phantom Outsider, and of course Ben Thatcher says, "Why did they even have those seats if nobody's ever going to use them?" And he's talking about the shuttle because everybody's standing in the shuttle.
Yeah, that's very weird, but no, it is what it is.
And Matt Wayne was by earlier. He says, "Ahoy." And we get a snarky comment from Baron Ormond Tag saying, "When is the sequel series of Wilbur going to come out?" And I said it that way because that's how Baron Ormond Tag sounds. He sounds, So, everybody, well, welcome. And you guys want to, let's get into this episode. So this was another Mocklin episode. It's a direct follow-up to A Tale of Two Topas and all the other Mocklin episodes in the show so far. So before we even get into this, just want to go around the horn and just get your initial thoughts. Start with Steve, since you're the newest guest star.
Initial thoughts. I was, to be quite honest, and call me a bigot if you want, I was quite bored at the beginning. I was not real thrilled to see Topa again, to be honest. I thought it ramped up at the middle, like the whole. I don't know if we want to go too far into it, but the middle part, I think it ramped up a bit with some of it. But then at the end, I was sort of like you said at the beginning, wondering what the Union is thinking about when it comes to the Kalon, since they seem to forget that they need to, have weapons and defense to protect everybody, since they, since they keep kicking all those types of people out of the Union or failing to sign peace accords. So, that's sort of wondering what the next step is for the Union besides for destruction.
Yeah, and there's only 2 more episodes left, so you're like, okay, like I mean, imagine if this show got canceled and it ends with them like in the worst possible fucking position.
Maybe the Mocklins and the Krill will just realize that they made a mistake and they'll come save them and they'll all just hold hands at the end. How about that?
Will they sing
I
Kumbaya
hope
too?
not.
Yeah, exactly.
Will they sing Kumbaya? Okay.
Yes, they'll hug and
Will
kiss.
there be
and
rainbows? Will there be rainbows?
There will
and sunshine?
definitely be rainbows, 100%.
Okay.
No fail. Rainbows everywhere. They'll paint the ships rainbows.
Yeah.
The Orville will have a rainbow paint job by the end.
Okay. All right. And what about you, Brandon?
Oh, the Union. What are they doing? Oh, let's see. Well, they're taking to the position that the ends do not justify the means. They've taken that stance with the Krill. They've taken that stance now, finally, after how many episodes of the Mocklins doing stuff that could be considered very shady. And they finally do that with them. You're absolutely right. They are in the absolute worst position now. They don't have their primary weapons manufacturer. They don't have their primary shield system manufacturer. They have none of that. The Union is now primarily a human league, basically. They're the ones that are staffing the majority of the ships. They seem to be the ones making the ships. You don't hear about any of the other Union members having any influence or say or sway in the designs of anything. They are in a very bad spot. And as far as this episode goes, I have very mixed feelings regarding the tale of two Topas, and then moving into this. I think with the Tale of Two Topas, and I've mentioned this in other places, that I think they were trying to go for, being very pro-transition, but the way that it landed with me is they were basically just undoing what was done, basically to a child that had no say in it. Changing it's basically, to me, it's no different than doing a genital mutilation to females or males at such a young age. Taking a child that is biologically female, transitioning it to a male to fit into their customs for how their world works, which there's a ton of biological problems with an all-male society to start with, but whatever. The child growing up, realizing something's not right, becoming what they should have been to begin with, and then overcoming all of that. There, as I said, I've got some issue. That to me, that was an excellent message. Don't transition because you will regret it. The more that this is studied, the people that end up having things permanently done, permanently changed, more times than not, will do things to themselves that they shouldn't do, and or regret what happened, and then try to undo as much of it as they can. But once you make certain changes, you can't undo those changes. As far as this particular episode, I was very careful in my tweets this week because I had a person that I thought was at least friendly terms with me absolutely bitch me out for, quote unquote, spoiling it on Twitter forum. It's stupid bullshit in my opinion, but whatever. But the first thing that I tweeted, the first thing, I didn't say for what show, I didn't say anything about it. Let me find it here, because it hits very much home in terms of, okay, Disney, I am annoyed. Having an adult tell a child a secret to keep from their parents, from their authority figures, from everybody, regardless of intentions, is an absolute no-go. That is a massive, extreme violation of every societal norm, of every civilization. It doesn't matter which civilization here on Earth or in the galaxy. You don't tell a child something of, whether it be of importance or you can trust me with this, and then don't tell your parents. That's grooming.
Yeah.
Period.
That's why I thought Hivina was going to be the villain.
Yeah.
She technically is. She broke.
Sure is.
Yeah, she broke the agreement. It is because of her actions that all of these consequences followed.
Yep.
Now, it may have been coming. They may have needed to kick the Mocklins out for a long time because the Mocklins have their own baggage and issues. But at the same time, it didn't have to be. So the question becomes, why did Brandon Barga, because he's the one that wrote this, he's the main writer on this.
Yeah.
Why did he do this? Why?
Yeah, she's the villain. Like, straight up, she caused all these problems. She broke the agreement at the worst time possible. Then puts a child. I mean, how old is Topa? I mean,
probably technically 13 or 14.
I mean, just coming, puts her in that position.
Yeah.
Enormous danger. Not only telling to keep it away from parents. She it's like, can you not see the repercussions if she gets caught on a Union ship doing these things? And then on top of that, keep it. You're putting her in a terrible position, and to think that this is okay, that you're doing it in the first place. It's like you have your morals just went right out the window.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like
they pulled a Disney. They pulled a massively bad Disney. Since supposedly the G word is now going to become verboten, it shall forever be known as pulling a Disney or okay Disney.
All right. What about you? What about you, DJ Ronnie G?
Well, I don't want to skip ahead too far, but I'm kind of holding out hope that the Krill become, buddy in some way, because I mean they got great ships and great weapons, and if we get their gear, I mean if the Union, I'm human, the Union's human right now, so anyway, so if the Union gets their technology, or at least some of it, maybe like a shaky alliance, sort of like the Romulans in DS9 when they provided the Defiant with a cloaking device, for example. I can live with that, but yes, right now the Union is toothless, and to piggyback on what Brandon was saying in the prior episode, Tale of Two Topas, I was pretty much fine with it because I was looking at it from the angle that if you force something upon a child at a very young age, too young, they tend to get suicidal. Things get really, heartbreaking and stuff. And although that episode's goal may not have been to discuss it from that angle, we had the opportunity to think of it from that angle. And I see eye to eye on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really do think that, with most of these episodes when they were written and who was still floating around DC at that point, things that they thought they were trying to do to, let's say, own or to push a certain agenda, it lands differently now because of who is now there. I really do think a lot of the things that they were trying to go for that could be classified as woke or super left-leaning, it's not landing the same now as it would have 2 to 3 years ago. So in a way, they are doing a self-own, but it's not in the same way that a lot of other shows do it, where they just throw it completely in your face. They're trying to lead you to that conclusion, to their conclusion, but I don't believe that they're pulling it that off, especially with the Krill. By the time that episode was done, I would have said, sign me up, I want to be a Krill. Because the Krill, they have their ethics and they have their morality more together.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, they still have strippers, but let's face it. What culture, even the most religious and zealotry of cultures, always have the harlots, the whores, etc., etc. So it's a bit out of place for them, but it's not completely out of place, period. I prefer the Krill, and I do think the Krill I do think that she is going to soften just enough to where when one of them is going to get attacked, I have no doubt that the Kalon are going to launch a massive attack on one of these three. The question will become, will the others show up to help them, because it does mutually benefit them. And I would say with the Krill, there's a better chance. With the Mocklins, there's some of a chance, but I don't know. I don't think that the way that they've written this, that they're, as far as on a high level, political level,
well,
they're going to do it. They're out.
I mean,
they're going to have royal problems with them going forward.
you got the half krill, half human that's going to bring them together. That's how they're going to do it.
That'll help with the krill situation, yeah.
Yeah. The Mocklins, I don't know how they resolve that, if they even can, unless they just have some, everybody's like Clyden and they realize they're, I mean, I don't know how you do that with the Mocklins. Should be that tie should be severed for ever. I mean, I don't know how you fix that.
That one's a lot harder, considering that they forced that. And there was someone that was telling me that they were either thinking or somewhere in one of the prior shows that I might have missed, that with the Mocklins, instead of it being like a 99% male birth rate, that it's closer to like a 50-50, like how it's supposed to be with standard nature. Anytime that you have a male female species that you have to have the one or the other to propagate, then with them doing what they're doing because of their culture customer, because their whatever deity they once believed in or still believe in says that only males are worthy, whatever the case is, I was going somewhere with this. I don't get the Mocklins. They are a deep-seated mystery to me, especially when it goes to the procreation. Because if they are a 50-50 species, technically then two males or two females should not be able to propagate their species. So
I don't fully understand it myself. They lay eggs, they give birth, and whenever there's a female, they change the female to a male. And it still beats me how it works. So
they're the odd men out, I guess you could say, as far as interplanetary species that they've talked about of any extent. So
so before let's get into this episode. So got 5 pages of notes, shouldn't take too long. So let's talk about episode 8, Midnight Blue. All right. So get the usual typical initial shot of the Orville, moving in space. We're in the galley. Kelly is sitting alone. Boris comes by. He is late. And he drinks this drink called opsada. It looks like a dark chocolate, thick chocolate milk. I don't know.
Chocolate milk.
So, I think we have a visitor. We have a visitor from Planet Vulcan. Let's welcome Bortus Spock.
Spock!
Hello.
It is agreeable to see you.
How's it going, everybody?
Very agreeable.
Very agreeable to be here. Thank you for having me, nerd.
Yeah, well, it's your second episode of the season, so let's get with this. So, all right, so Bortus is late. He gets Kelly gives him some upsada, and he gulps it down. And of course, Bortus says he's annoyed at being a parent. He's like, I'd rather face a squadron of krill ships or whatever. You can interrupt me and correct me. And he's like, oh, Topa is like staying in her room. She's acting like a typical teenager. He thinks she's in love with a boy, and she's like I said, she gets locked. She locks away. So. And then, of course, Clyden is just like Clyden was the more personal parent, the one that would talk to her and stuff. So it's hard for.
He was the female in the relationship as far as how his presence was.
Yeah,
and what his role was.
He was the housewife. Yeah. He stayed at home, took care. And of course, we find that like Bortus is complaining about it, then he volunteers Kelly to come and talk to her. So since she looks up to Kelly, so we're now in Topa's room, and she's like, "Go away," like a certain Jake, guy that walks on the sky, Jake Skywalker. And Kelly comes in and she offers Topa a chance to come along for a tactical simulation. And of course, then Kelly talks to her woman to woman, asks her if she's in love. And Topa's like, how do you talk to a boy? And she's just like, just tell him how you feel. Just, tell him how you feel. And we find out that this boy is Gordon. We find out she's in love with Gordon. And so we're in engineering now, and like Malloy's just talking about his brother. Malloy basically has a delinquent brother that his mother's always telling him, "Why don't you give him a job on the Orville?" He's like, "No, I'm not going to give him a job on the Orville. He's a deadbeat. He's going to screw. He's going to screw. He's going to do away any goodwill between me and the captain if I recommend him." So, but one thing I loved was. Topa comes in and she just starts talking to Gordon. She's like, she's like, "Why don't we go on a date?" And then everybody bobs their head in to listen. The porn guy, I keep forgetting what he is, and of course
the whole engineering crew.
The whole engineering crew, and it was pretty funny. And then, of course, Gordon tries to let her down easily. He's like, I see you mean so much to me, but you're like the little sister I never had. You're like the little sister I never had." And it's just like, and then she's like, "Oh, okay." And then she just walks away. And then Lamar's like, "I think she's too mature for you." He's like, "I'm not listening to this. I'm not listening." And then what's the name of the other? I forgot the name of the guy, the alien with the head. You know, he's like, "Yeah, man, cool." He's like, funny. "Gordon's pretty attractive," and they're like,
conversation ends.
Yeffet's like, "No, not really. He's more coming."
But it was funny how long it took Malloy to realize what was going on. They're all like, "What the hell? She's hitting on him. She wants to go on a date." And he's like, "Yeah, let's do it." And they're like, "What? Really?" And then finally he gets it, and it's like, "Oh,
yeah." Dan. Okay, Dan. Yeah, I forget Dan. Dan's the guy with the big head. Yeah, Mike Henry's character. Okay. And let's see. Let's keep going. So we're now in the briefing room. And Admiral Housley basically talks about Havina and the colony from last season, the female Moclan colony that both sides, both the Union and the Moclans, have agreed to do inspections. That make sure that no terms of the agreement from last season are violated. And so in this case, Kelly and Bordas are assigned to go and conduct these inspections. And of course, we learn, Halsey's like, tread carefully. Tensions are high. We need them. Don't screw this up. And I think at one point, I don't know if it was here or earlier, where Ed wanted to call, was sick of their bullshit. I don't know if this was at this point. So, but yeah, so tensions are high. So now we're in security, and Kelly and Bordas. We learn that they only need sidearms for this mission. So Topa comes and she's like, "I want to go. I want to meet Havina. She means so much to me. I want to meet her. I want to see other female Moclans." And Boris is like, "I don't know. This could be dangerous. I mean, there's a possibility this could be hazardous." And Kelly's like, "Why not? Why not?" And so then Boris is like, "Okay, only if the captain agrees. Only if the captain agrees." So looks like Ed will not say no based on that conversation. So
yeah,
so they go on, and that's when the credit. So.
Yeah, sort of interesting. The assumption is that the captain's just gonna say yes. She's off to pack her bags. It's like, okay, seems like a bad idea to me, but okay, the captain's just gonna be okay with it.
This is a good question. Why would you bring a child on a military mission?
Exactly.
Well, I guess they thought it wasn't. I guess they thought it wasn't serious enough to be a military mission. I guess they thought it was a field trip.
There's no reason.
It was more of a diplomatic mission, more like a fact-finding mission as opposed to a full-blown military operation. But still.
But my thought is just like, take her down after you're done. There's no reason you have to leave, right? Just take her down for a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I know they got things to do, but I mean, they're there, right? I don't know. It just seemed weird. All kinds of problems.
They could have brought her down any other day when the Moclans aren't there.
Yes.
The other side of the government, that is. Because I guess, like you said, Brian, they didn't take it too seriously because I don't even think they were asked to bring weapons. So they probably didn't think it was going to be all that of a serious event. So they thought, oh, might as well bring the kid. But I agree. I don't think they could have easily waited. Like, yeah, sure, bring the kid. It's good for her to meet Havina, but not exactly right now. It's kind of a delicate situation going on right now.
Well, and yeah, the immediate problem arises as soon as they land. It's who's that female? It's like, uh-oh, maybe we should have thought of this.
Of course, she couldn't stay put and just stay in the transport or the shuttle. Had to come out. Had to be the difficult, typical teenager. Just
Yep.
had to cause trouble.
Yep. So now
And I can say that because I'm a parent, bro. I'm a parent. You wonder why I go so gray? Because I'm a parent.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So now going back to this, we're now in scene 2. The shuttle is going down to the female Moclan colony. Very nice view of the nebula. Very nice view of them going down to down. And of course, we learned that the Moclans were not present in Orville. Of course, they once again violated their rendezvous agreement. So right now they're going down. They go down to the planet itself, and we get some nice shots of planet
Don't you guys
California.
think that the atmosphere should have been pink? Kind of
Oh,
like
yeah.
the
Yeah, probably.
surrounding of the system, because the whole thing was pink. I was expecting the sky to be kind of, hued a bit.
But don't you love
Look-
Planet California? Come on, I mean it's Planet California.
That's what I was thinking the entire time. Like, this is somewhere in California.
Yeah, and before we even go any further, a certain Michael from Pacific 414 decided to grace us with his presence. You're
Hey.
late,
Greetings, gentlemen.
Mike.
Mike. What's going
Brandon.
on? You okay?
Going good. I'm good. You know I do my review after I've watched the episode.
Oh, okay. So you're fashionably late. Okay, all right.
Yes.
I'll accept. I'll accept it this time. I'll accept it.
Besides, you told me I could show up whenever I want.
Yeah, I know, but just like like they say in The Sopranos, I'd like to bust your balls. So, all right. So yeah, all right. So now that we're all here, let's get started. Let's keep going. So the shuttle lands in the forest. Topa remains. Topa is ordered to remain in the shuttle, and so Bortus and Kelly leave, and they meet Commander Kodan, or is it Kodan or Kodan? I think it's Kodan, and we find out that he's already conducted their inspection, and there's a bit of tension between them as Topa disobeys and exits the craft, and they see her, and they call her disgusting, which brings up the tension to a high, and Kelly orders Bortus to let it go. So that's how, at least if there's I don't think I didn't write any more to it, but if there's more, just interrupt me. But let's now they go to the village. Now they're in the village, and Topa sees it for the first time, and we see Osaya again, and she greets them, and we see that the village, at least in my opinion, the village has grown, and they go and see Havina. They go into her house, and what is she listening to? I did not think we were going to be. I did not think I was serious. I was not serious when I thought that when I said that they were going to bring 9 to 5 back. Well, they brought 9 to 5 back. She was listening to it while she listens to it while she writes, and not only does she listen to it, she's got pictures of Dolly Parton all over her, all over her.
It was her shrine.
Her office. So it's like, oh, we got a Dolly Parton fan in this show. So, and this is not the end of it, but we'll get to that. So, so Havina finally meets Topa, and Topa is a big fan. She's like, I've read all your books. It's such an honor to meet you. And Havina's like, no, the honor is mine. And Topa stays with Havina as the others conduct the inspection. Topa, like I said, Topa thanks her, and Havina feels that she failed her, and Topa disagrees. She feels that it was just some time before things could resolve themselves. And then it gets into a weird. Then the conversation gets into a weird direction where Havina keeps talking about revolution.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh no! When I hear revolution, I think of a certain manifesto. I think of a certain manifesto, and it's just I don't know why. It's just I was just like, okay, whatever. And so then after that, it skips to the evening, and then they have there's the evening festival. They're having dinner outside tables. Looks like that looks like that looks like an awesome time to eat and go outside and see the Luminites all flying
Music was
around and
awesome.
everything. Yeah, it was great. I love the music too. I totally agree. And so we get to so Topa wants to stay longer. She's really enjoying herself here, and there's a bunch of conversations, and one of them that I took down was a kid asked if Boris and Kelly are mates. And they're like, no, we're just we're just friends, we're just colleagues. And so we see like I said, we see the Luminites, and they look like Christmas tree lights flying around. Beautiful shot. I love the way it looked. So Topa asked for permission to go and go right by the Luminites. And she walks to them, and she's like in awe of looking up at them. And let's just say Havina approaches her. I was like, uh-oh. I'm like, where is this going with this? First I hear revolution. I'm like, where is this going to go? Havina here. So Havina approaches her, and she tells her about the rare blue Luminites that bring good fortune.
Oh.
And of course, she gives Topa a gift. She gives him these lava stones that they find on the beach, and so she gave it. It's made into a necklace. So she gives it, and Topa wears it as a necklace. She asks Topa for her help, and she tells her to keep it like we were talking about earlier. She tells Topa to keep it a secret from Bortus and even Kelly and from anyone else, which is a major red flag, in my opinion. And we find out that Havina violated the agreement. So they reestablished the network for smuggling young female girls off of Moklis, and they have a contact on the planet. But the thing is, the way they're doing it now is inefficient, and they need a middleman. They need a middleman to be the contact point between the two, between the person on Moklis and Havina on I forget the name of the world, but the colony, the female colony in the nebula. And she tries to recruit Topa to do this, and Topa's like, I'll do it. And then of course we get grandiose statements from freaking Havina saying that she's gonna be important to history and all this crap. And I was like, oh no. Is Havina what's this going? What is this leading towards? Is there more to this? Is Havina the villain? Is Havina gonna be the villain in this episode? Is she in cahoots?
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, do you think that perhaps she's in cahoots with, other members of the Union, or perhaps other members of Moklis? Maybe something is going to go down. Well, what happens next? Well, apparently we learned, like I said, she needs to relay messages from Havina to their contact on Moklis. And so she learns like the codes, and she learns who the contact. She learns.
Oh, Nerporial down.
So yeah, she talks about using the subspace transmitter on the Orville because, of course, a Union ship is well equipped with a long-range subspace transmitter. But of course, just because they're using an encrypted, signal, it's kind of like a breach of trust, right, guys? Oh, hey, you're back.
Yeah, sorry about it. It was the internet. Internet kind of bleeped on me. So, what were you saying?
We're talking about the use of the subspace transmitter and how that was like totally a breach of trust and just like all of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's they wanted. Havina wanted to use Topa to get access to the Orville.
Yeah,
and I mean that's just a major red flag in terms of the content of her character right there.
The thing that stuck out to me is she had a system that's working already without involving her. Might be slow and not as efficient, but you're willing to put not only this child at risk, but the Orville and everything to make it go a little faster.
She was getting a villain. Oh, to me, it looked like she had a very villainous motive in this episode because she even says that, you know, one life to how many are we saving? So she's putting it in that perspective. Why not just save everybody? Why do you have to sacrifice a little girl who doesn't even like somebody said earlier in the chat? Why are you bringing a child into adult affairs? This has nothing to do with her.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Well, how many countless lives has now been put in jeopardy because of her actions in
All
this
of them.
episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Every single
I'm kinda-
person on that colony.
So I know I'm getting ahead of myself.
Not
I'm
not
surprised.
even just the colony, but beyond that too. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to hop ahead, but
No, it's all right. No, it's all right. I agree. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that there was no they said, arrest. I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. I was kind of surprised that they didn't say, or like there was no repercussions for her because of this. Like if this was real, that she would be held. She would go down. She would
Yeah.
be held responsible. She would be, yeah. So I mean, it's just. So I'm kind of surprised she got off light at the end.
got
Yeah,
off with
the
nothing.
Mocklins were not wrong in demanding for her arrest because it was her, and through the extension, the Union violating that particular treaty. So
Yeah.
Well, as far as
on
we
that
know,
part, they are not wrong.
as far
Yeah.
as we know, she got no punishment whatsoever. She came out with exactly what she wanted.
Yeah. So it's yeah. We'll get to that. So going back. So let's just say so Topa. So Havina leaves her, takes her leave. Topa agrees to this, and yeah, Havina says she'll be a hero to Mocklins, to female Mocklins everywhere, and then takes her leave. So Topa's alone, with the Topa's alone in the forest with the Luminites, and she spots a blue one, and she follows it. It's a beautiful shot. She's following it deeper into the forest or jungle, whatever, and she eventually grabs it. But then, whoops! I'm like, okay, she grabs it. Like someone's gonna nab her, and I was like, yep. So we hear twigs snapping on the ground, one, and then it gets louder as they get closer, and then all of a sudden, I was right. She got nabbed by those Mocklins who were just they're waiting. So
You could see it coming.
yeah,
A mile away.
anybody could see that coming a while away. So she's taken to the shuttle, and then the shuttle, flees, leaves the planet, and that's end of scene. That's the end of scene 2. So we got our our reason. We got our thing that happened. Something. So this thing is the thing that takes or really begins the episode. So now we're in scene 3, and now we're still at evening dinner. Excuse me. Havina talks about her book, and then they're like, "Where's Topa? Where's Topa?" And then they begin a massive search. They search the village, and they search the neighboring jungle, and they can't find anything. But they do find something. They find the necklace. The lava stones that Havina just gave her. And they figure, okay, it's probably. I mean, if she's not here and they can't contact her, they can't. She's not even on the island. That means it's likely the Mocklins took her, and then they find out the Mocklins are gone, and like, well, yep, that's the Mocklins. They took her. Those bastards.
Did anybody feel a little weird that she gave her the necklace just to lose it?
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought too. Like it was a plot. To me, it was a plot convenience.
Yeah, it was a plot
Yep.
convenience in the sake that it's like a breadcrumb. So when she was taken, that's where they would find that, oh yeah, she was kidnapped because look, her necklace is on the ground here.
Well, and they use that for the proof and the DNA scan, and apparently there's blood on it, and it's like, it's like the whole plot revolves around this necklace. Basically, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be more than just a plot device later. Maybe it'll just be a nice, I don't know, memento she'll wear for the rest of the show or something. But yeah, I thought that was. Somebody brought up an interesting point. How did they know Topa knew things? Maybe. Yeah, that's something that wasn't really shown either, because maybe there was one of them eavesdropping in the background, but we didn't see it.
They had to be.
Yeah.
They had to be eavesdropping. They had to be keeping tabs on it. They said that they were going to leave, but obviously they didn't, so they were on the clandestine. And I don't think they would have taken her had they not believed that she was given this information. If they were paying close enough attention and and within relative, earshot, or having, spy devices deployed to where they could hear, they would have that it wouldn't have been worth the risk to do that. And this is full of Brandon Braga
Braga.
stuff. It's fully loaded with
Yep.
all of his tropes, all of his crap.
I initially thought that the blue luminite was like a bug, or was like a little bug, or like a little spy device or something that was able to hear. At least that's what I thought was the reason. Now they didn't.
That would be
find out that I don't think that's the case though. But
See,
that's
that
what
would
I
be
initially thought.
But that would be cool, because that's why they're rare, because it's only like when they're monitoring them that the blue one shows up or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's a cool idea.
Yeah, or they could have used that idea to just like to manipulate and use it as a means to to spy on them, because that's what I'm assuming they've been doing. They've been spying on them, and that's how they became aware of the network. So apparently they were already aware of the network, and
Yeah,
so
like Dr.
because
Giro.
yeah, but so apparently because she told Topa, I don't know how they know that she told Topa, if they didn't hear it themselves, but I guess they did somehow. That that she has this information. That's why they kidnapped her. So
Yeah.
so let's go. Let's keep going. So so Boris and Kelly get back to the shuttle, but we learned that their shuttle was sabotaged. Their communications were cut and their stabilizers were cut. So they have to really hold on when they're accelerating. So I kind of liked how it looked. I kind of liked how it looked. It just got crazy. That's why you need your initial dampeners or whatever you call them in the show, stabilizer or whatever. But yeah, they they find an ion trail, which is the usual method in Star Trek to find a ship that tries to steal something and leave, always as far as Spock's brain. But they have to make a decision. They're either they go to the Orville and report, or they go on the mission and keep following the ion trail before it dissipates and save Topa before it's too late. And they end up going on an adventure, on a Star Wars like adventure mission to follow the ion trail and rescue Topa from wherever.
Not knowing what would have
wherever
happened at the end of this episode, I probably would have made the decision to rendezvous with the Orville.
Yeah. So
just for the sake of not doing this as a solo mission, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So now we're on the Orville, and there's been no contact, and they're concerned. So Ed decides to order the ship on course for the colony, which is once again another violation of their agreement with the Mocklins. So they get to the planet, and of course Havina is already on board, and she's being questioned by Ed and Kiali, and Havina denies knowledge of anything, and Ed is like, I know like being a leader requires us to need to be vigilant in everything, and when things happen out of the ordinary, we demand to know everything about it. So I'm not buying your statement. And so let's just say it gets to the point where he's like, Havina, you're holding back. And then Havina ultimately tells him. She tells him everything. She tells Ed about the network, and she tells him that she told Topa about all this sensitive information. And Ed's like, what the hell were you? Ed's like your typical Ed's typical response is, what the hell were you thinking? Like, she's a child. And then Havina's like, I am doing this for my people, and sometimes we need sacrifice. I was like, oh boy. I'm liking this character less and less. And I loved what Ed said to her. Ed says, I respect your struggle, but this is tactical opportunism. You're presenting tactical opportunism as pious morality. I really loved that little statement right there, because that's exactly what she did.
Yeah, very great delivery in this part. I thought that it was just a great speech from Ed.
Yes,
he was every right to be mad about this.
So at least she's being admonished. At least she's being admonished, and there's a consequence a consequence for what she did. Now, if this was Star Trek Picard, where a scientist literally murders a guy and nothing happens as a result.
We don't talk about Picard.
Yeah, I think
here.
I'd rather deal with the necklace trope than the burn trope. So I mean, this is here's the thing. We're actually getting an adult conversation here. So notice how Havina, even though she's in the wrong in this episode, she was being honest with Ed about what she had done. I mean, a lot of other people wouldn't have probably done that.
Yeah, so
trying to morally justify what she did.
Yeah, but that's still wrong. She's trying to morally justify it.
So at least, she's taking a step back in the right direction, but she's still in the wrong for talking about sacrifice and like grooming. It's like you said, it's grooming. It's not fun. It's not funny. This is not funny shit. This is serious shit. So we're back in the boardroom, and they're having another conference with Admiral Halsey. And they're basically where they report to him everything that Havina told him and what happened with Topa. And Halsey's like, hey, we're on shaky ground. And of course, okay, this is where Ed does his I'm done with their bullshit speech, to the point where Halsey's like, wow, hold your, I forget exactly how he says it, it's like, hold your tone. And so they're like, in order for us to do anything about it, Havina is going to need to testify before the Union Council. And so Havina initially declines this because she's worried that if she does this, that the Mocklins are going to come and it's going to give the Mocklins a reason to come and just arrest everybody on the planet on their colony. So so she declines. And of course, then Halsey's like, well, I'm disappointed with your decision. So we're going to have to figure out another way. So So Ed's like, Havina, you're going to stay on board until Kiali's done with her investigation. And then it fades to black. And then that's how scene 3 ends. So, yeah. So right now, obviously they're taking Havina. First they take Havina in a villainous route, and now they're trying to take her back into a redemptive route with her at least telling Ed the truth. I did not think she was going to do it, to be honest. I thought she was going to continue to stay mum or lie throughout the rest of the episode, just to protect her contact and just to protect her situation. But apparently they didn't go that route. So that's scene 3. So now it now feels like it's kind of a repeat of what happened last season when they first discovered the female colony. So now you got the council, you got the Union Council back on the scene, and we see the president. We see Bruce Boxleitner come back. He gets a couple more lines, and we got to see that one senator lady that looks like Nancy Pelosi, who unfortunately passed away last year in New York. So, but yeah, we got to see her again too. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So now we're in scene 4, and we're on the shuttle, and Kelly and Bortus are at the end of the Ion Trail. And they basically calculate trajectory, and they find that they went to the Zonari system. On the Orville, Havina stares into the nebula, and Tala comes to escort her to Simulator 1. And I was like, she's like, someone wants we're gonna have you meet somebody. I can't. It's hard to take seriously. Tala escorts her to the simulator, and she's like, okay, you're gonna go in alone. She's like, really? He's like, yeah. So Havina goes in alone, and she's in a cabin. She's in a cabin on Earth. I was like,
here we go.
I'm like, is this really? Is she, I was like, in my mind, like, is she gonna really meet Dolly Parton? And then Dolly Parton comes into the scene. I was like, oh my god, Dolly Parton.
I was wondering at what age they were gonna have Dolly, but they have her at her current age.
I think she's like in her late 70s now. I think she was, because she 9 to 5, the movie 9 to 5 came out in 1980. That came out 42 years ago. So that came out 4 years before I was born. So So, and I think she was in her 30s
Funny.
or 40s when that came out. She was in her 30s probably when that was out. So she's up there. She looks really good though. She looks really good for her age.
I haven't heard too much about, her music and stuff, but I thought this was kind of a funny gag that they did, that they brought her.
Yeah, and we get to, so Havina's like, "Oh, I'm not worthy to meet Dolly Parton. I'm not worthy to meet Dolly Parton." And Dolly Parton was just being herself. She's like, we're here in a cabin on the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee. And Dolly Parton just tells her a story about her mother and about her as a kid. Like she got into such a deep cut on her toe. She talked about her toe, and she got a deep cut on her toe. And her mother, they were they were poor, and they were ways away from any hospital or any doctor. So her mother had to use her ingenuity and had to, come up with an idea to help her. And so what did she do? She poured cornstarch on the wound, and then sewed up, and then poured kerosene to as an antiseptic, and then
moonshine.
Yeah, and then used her sewing ability to sew the toe back up, and now I can walk. And it was a cute. I thought it was a really cute scene, to be honest. And
it's always a good day to see Dolly. Plus, Dolly laid some of that down home Southern Tennessee wisdom on the mock.
That's right. And she talks about like how her mother was resourceful, and that what the takeaway from this whole scene was the future. She said this: the future has a way of taking care of itself. So this is a nice, cute, wholesome scene right there.
As long as you're doing the right thing in the here and now.
Yep, and because and I'm sure this came up in the contract negotiations when they brought her on board. Dolly's gonna sing. Dolly's like, you want me to act in this? You want me to be in the scene? Well, I gotta sing a song. So Dolly Parton sings a song in this episode, and the song is called "Try," because I used my phone to identify the song, because I do not listen to Dolly Parton. I don't listen to country at all. But I enjoyed this song.
I'm gonna say that scene where they show that music playing, like, pans to Havina's face and then the ship, and it's like going through the mist and then it warps out. I actually really like that scene out of all the other shots in this show. It's not obviously the same artist and not exactly the same genre, but something about the music and the way that they were directing those shots kind of reminded me of Enterprise a bit. I don't know why.
They're nice beauty shots of the Orville.
Oh yeah, the shots are great in this season. Like that's no joke. So
money shot. Money shot.
Yeah, look at that. Hey DJ, do you have the shot of Topa looking out of the shuttle into the nebula?
I don't know.
That was a great shot, and then all the shots of them trying to land on the planet on the colony was great too.
I don't know why, but my computer doesn't want to show me thumbnail images today. So I'm kind of just winging it.
Okay, all right. Let's keep going. So as a result of Dolly Parton, so let's just say Dolly Parton. Let's say when Dolly Parton sings a song, it causes people to change their minds. So Havina changes her mind and decides to testify before the Union Council.
That's the power of Dolly, baby.
Yep, Dolly Parton. So now we're on the Mocklin shuttle, and they arrive at this planet. And they land on a base, and the base is I just took note of this. It's a very orange base. Like the lighting on the shuttle was orange. I think the lighting inside the shuttle was pretty orange. Well, the base is pretty orange too. So, so they escort her to an interrogation room, and they threaten her. They literally tell her if she does as she's told, she will live. She may live. Excuse me. She's in this room. It's just a single chair in the center, and we see a man with one eye approach from the shadows. So it's a creepy guy right there, single eye, and he gives her water. He acts pretty friendly at first, and we find out that he's actually her interrogator. And then she gets questioned, and we learn she's here because of a conspiracy to cause subversion on Mockless. They know about the network and want to know the contact. And then we see we see her get smacked by this interrogator, and it kind of made me think a little bit of Space Seed, where Khan's subordinate Joaquin smacks Uhura. And what's funny is in that scene, you know who the first one to react was to get out of his chair? It was Spock. That was the first one to react.
I love that. Yeah, that's one of the things I talked about one of our streams ago. Where I love the connection they put between those two characters in the original series.
Yeah,
I was going to say this had a very Cardassian feel to it, to the interrogation.
Chain of command.
Mhm.
I feel like
for a second I thought you were going to say Kardashian. I was like, oh no.
Oh hell no! What? No
Keeping with
Kardashians.
the
Kardashians. After
this
all,
was
you know.
definitely, like you said though,
Yeah.
Brandon, just like Chain of Command with Picard, where he's getting tortured.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You
Or
know,
with
Kevin?
plain, simple Garrick.
Ooh,
It reminded me-
Ooh, how menacing. Give me more.
I'm just a simple tailor, Doctor.
I was
Nothing more.
and I was a
nothing
gardener
less.
before that. I was a gardener before that. So
You just happen
but-
to know how to fix computers. Well, my tailoring tool has multiple purpose uses, and it's really no different than fixing or hemming a dress.
Yes.
If we see
I love
Andrew
that.
Robinson in this show, I am gonna freak out.
I hope so. That'd be awesome. But Brandon, remember, there are 5 lights.
There are 4 lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Topa is in, so like Doc Brown would say, Topa is in deep shit. Or serious shit. So
Yep.
now we're back to Bortus and Kelly. So they arrive at the planet. They pick up Mocklins on the planet and they engage the cloak. Of course, we learn that there's no record of this place in the Union database, and they land in the valley. Hence, this is a black site. They start hiking to the base, and we find out that Bortus did bring some heavy weapons with them. So apparently Bortus wasn't sure, and just kind of off the radar, just decided to bring some heavy weapons with them. So now we're back.
Kelly was glad he didn't listen to her.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, thank you for not listening. Thank you for not listening to me. So now we're on the outer. So we get a very interesting shot. DJ, do you have this? The outer shot of the bridge as they approach
Oh yeah,
Earth. Do you have that?
I sure do.
All right, awesome. So we gotta show this because this
This-
was awesome.
So beautiful.
This is a great shot.
Yes.
Little Latin.
And I
here.
think they used the same thing. They did the same thing that they did in the beginning
Oh
of the
yeah.
season with the Kalon, where they show Ty running in the corridor. Yeah, I think it was the similar type of shooting that they did. So, but yeah, look at that. It was a pretty cool shot. So, so the Orville arrives on Earth, and we learn that the council has already convened. So, Gordon, Gordon volunteers to go with Ed down to the council because he is invested in her safety, kind of trying to pay off what they started in the beginning, where she tells him she likes him. So, so we get another Havina testifying moment, just like in the last season, and she confesses, and it demands an investigation to save Topa. And then look who shows up. Look who shows up on the podium. Mr. Boxleitner himself, the president.
Speaking of Boxleitner, during the interrogation, I was reminded of a season 4 episode of B5 when Sheridan was kidnapped in a bar. Somebody spiked his drink with drugs, and Sheridan passed out, got beaten up, and dragged away to a Martian dark site where he was basically kind of like treated really nicely by the interrogator.
Yeah.
And then the interrogator started being mean, and then he comes in with a freaking corned beef sandwich, and he's not giving him any, but he's like, the mustard really just makes the edge of my cheek stings. And then he offers some to Sheridan, and yeah, it didn't work out. It kind of like gave him a stomach ache.
It made me think of Chain of Command without the physical torture so much as more psychological manipulation and everything. So it did have some 1984 vibes. So it was a great episode. That whole episode,
Yeah, a lot of psychological.
him being interrogated by that guy. That was some great acting from both Boxleitner and the actor. I forget the actor's name who played the interrogator in that one.
Oh
That was a great
yeah,
episode.
that guy scared me.
Excuse me. Yeah, I think that was like the second to last episode of season 4. This was when Earth was the bad guy. So in the first 6 episodes of season 4, the shadows the shadows were pretty much a non-entity. It was the Vorlons that became the other evil other side of the equation,
God,
the other extreme. So both sides were ultimately they're like Bruce Boxleitner's best speech in that, his best line in that whole show.
Get
like,
the hell
out of our galaxy, you bastards, something like that. And then they leave, and then the shadows and the Vorlons leave, and then the rest of the season is them fighting Earth. So Earth was taken over by President Clark, and President Clark it became a totalitarian thing. And then they were in cahoots with the shadows. Like they started getting that technology from the shadows, and it started getting dangerous. And the Babylon 5 just kind of cut ties with them, and then with the help of the aliens and Sheridan, they took back Earth. But then the thing is, because Sheridan took back Earth, he could not serve in the military anymore. So he ends up becoming the president of this new alien alliance. So I know I'm sorry we're talking about Babylon 5. It's great seeing. Yeah, I want to see way more Leitner. I know it's
Hey man, Babylon 5 is amazing.
Yeah, man, all day, every day, Babylon 5.
Devil Book, and I think Boxleitner's the narrator of
Yes,
that.
he is.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Dude.
So I'm glad that they're giving him stuff to do. I mean, I love Bruce Boxleitner. He's
Recently just ordered that today, and it's a great audiobook. I definitely recommend people to get that.
Yes,
Thank you, Spock.
So this is such a great so him being cast as the president of the union is just like an excellent move from McFarlane and whoever did the casting, because I like him. I want to see more of him. We don't see enough of him. I want to see more of President Boxleitner. I can't forget his name. But the president appears, and he agrees that an investigation should be that there should be an investigation. So he decides to open it, and of course, then the Mocklins object, stating that Havina should be the one investigated because there's no facts or evidence, and this whole thing is started because of her violating the agreement in the first place. And what's funny is they're not wrong as much as they're jerk offs and everything. They're not wrong. But that's how this scene ends. And so now we're back on the planet with Bortus and Kelly, and they arrive roughly 2,000 meters from the entry point. And there gets to a point where they come across a chasm, and Bortus makes the jump successfully, but Kelly goes after him. And of course, Kelly, I was like, okay, if Bortus is successful and Kelly's successful, then there's no point to this. So they had to make Kelly fail at this. So she falls. So Kelly falls and hurts her. She tears a ligament out of her shoulder. And of course, all you got to do is just put a patch or put some sort of arm or shoulder thing on, and then boop, you're good. You're good. Your shoulder ligaments healed, and everything is fine and dandy.
Nice? Yeah, I could use something like that for my ankle.
Yeah, and of course we get a little because of this. We get a little conversation. We find out Kelly feels responsible for Topa's situation by allowing Topa to come on the mission in the first place, which she's right to believe that, in my opinion. But Bortus is like, I appreciate you, and I don't hold you responsible. And here is, I don't hold you responsible, and you're practically family to us. Aw, so nice. There's a lot of heartwarming moments.
We all thought it was a family moment until 2 seconds later.
Yeah, there you go. So now we're back in the Topa interrogation, and holy crap, she is being tortured. Like, she looks terrible.
Yeah.
This is not funny. Her face is messed up. The interrogator takes out a device. It's like a little rod. He calls it a persuader that can cause neural damage. And believe it or not, you know why it can cause neural damage? Because it's got a green. It looks like it's got like a nice little green zzz at the end.
It's a Klingon pain stick.
A Klingon, a green.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe it's a Romulan paint stick because it's green, or a Borg paint stick. Even though Borg, I don't think have paint sticks.
Which made me think back to Lieutenant Tyler when she was being tortured. Of course, we all know who Lieutenant Tyler turned out to be, and
Lieutenant Tyler.
Yep.
I'm
Oh,
trying.
yeah.
My mind's blanking. Lieutenant Tyler from. What's her name? From
Turns out to be the Krill.
Krill.
Yeah.
Yeah, General Tyler.
It's a Leia. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. So, let's see. So we're back to Boris and Kelly. They arrive and they attempt entry. They take out the guard and they walk the corridor. For a second, I thought they were going to pull a Star Wars, where they were going to where Boris was going to change into the outfit, and I was surprised they didn't really do that. So, okay. So Nate says it is a Krill torture device. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the interrogator said that it took him a while to acquire one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also kind of surprised me that they didn't develop their own, because we know Mocklins are masters in weaponry. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's funny that they stole a Krill weapon for the sake of this interrogation. And like somebody brought up earlier, why didn't they just use a truth serum? Again, showing, the limitations between, I'm sure, given if the Orville was a villainous kind of union instead, not the seeking peacekeeping kind of, when it is now, they would probably be able to use that kind of stuff, because let's face it, the Union has a bunch of scientists, they're really smart, and they know how to develop stuff. Mockless may not have that kind of advantage. There are more advantages in, weapons and artillery and stuff like that. So I guess they can kind of just scrap whatever they can.
Yeah, cameras are outdated devices in the 25th century. That's why it was easy for them to infiltrate the base.
Security
Even
security measures.
Heck, they did it even better than Solid Snake did. Solid Snake needs a box to hide in.
Yeah,
the exclamation mark.
confrontation. There should have been more of a confrontation, because I know we got that hallway scene, but there should have been one prior to that, where before they're entering the base, they kind of, hey, we got registered I don't know, people.
Yeah, there's
on our
like literally
base.
one person outside guarding. There's like one person outside guarding. I'm guessing
even if their radars aren't so good to capture objects from space, they should be at least able to have surveillance around their buildings. I mean, crap, that's really bad.
Surveillance and proximity detection. Yeah.
Exactly.
no alert sounds.
There you go. There you go. Perfect. So let's see. So Topa is still being tortured, and the interrogator puts it to a higher setting. So now Boris and Kelly are in that firefight. So they take out. There's two that they initially engage. Kelly flanks them from behind and takes them out, and then there's two more, and then they ambush, and then they dispatch another two, and then they ambush the last two. And it's literally a race against time. So we find out that Topa breaks and tells the interrogator. And the interrogator, I believe the guy that came in with the interrogator, that was Kodan from the planet, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Okay, so the interrogator is about to tell Kodan, but they end up killing. So Boris and Kelly arrive. They end up killing Kodan, and they rescue Topa. And then,
are we sure that their weapons were set to kill?
I don't know. I don't know. Now that I think,
Yeah,
now that you ask, I don't know.
If I had to assume, probably not. If
Boris
they did
beat
hit
the
any of
crap
them.
out of that guy.
Well, that guy, I don't know what the hell happened to him. He's definitely either blinded or, like he said earlier, he's got some neural problems going on now, because Boris shoved that directly in his head.
Yeah, he's like I compare him to Ellie Driver from Kill Bill. You know, Daryl Hannah's characters with the eye patch.
Yeah.
Remember how the bride just snaps the other eye out? She's like, ah, and then she just freaks out and she freaks out. She's like, you fucking bitch, you fucking bitch. And then there's a black mamba in that trailer with her. So, but yeah, what happens is, they take out Kodan, and here this interrogator dude gets beaten the crap out of by Bortus. He's like, you did this to my child. And he starts beating the crap out of him. He takes that device and shoves it in his other eye, so now he's completely blind. And this is all going on while Kelly is telling him to stand down. Kelly's like, stand down, and it's
Should
just
know better. Don't piss off a Mocklin.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
get into that blood rage, and it's all over.
Somebody had a question. Yes, the rifle does have a stun setting as well as a kill setting. So if I had to guess, they were probably just stunning all the they would get in a lot more trouble if they had just killed everybody there.
Yeah.
Well, they did take out the 3 pilots, but
Maybe
That's a
there
tough
could
one.
be-
That was a very- yeah,
maybe
that
there
was-
could be a circumstantial excuse for that one. Like we had no other choice but to do that. But
Yeah, because
for the sake of like just killing them, when they have the option to stun, I think that they would have gotten in trouble if they had killed them instead. Because an officer, especially at their caliber, should be aware that their rifles do have a stun setting, and there is no need to kill them if you can easily just put them out of their misery quickly and make them go to sleep.
Yeah, and Nate here says, don't piss off a
Don't
father.
piss off a father.
He's right. I mean,
No.
what
Don't.
would you do if you walked into the room and you saw somebody abusing your daughter like that, torturing your daughter like that, or your son like that?
You beat him
You go
to
and-
a
They've been
the
kind
ring-
of pushing him, though. They've been taunting him this entire episode since the beginning, where they called her a disgusting piece of filth or something, and that kind of riled him up a bit. So this is where he's like, I can't hold this anymore. I'm gonna just let it out. And you hear I love the Bortus theme in the background. It's like 2 big toms, boom, boom,
Hell
boom.
yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you can only take so much. If somebody pushes your buttons, there's gonna come to a point where you've had enough.
Yeah. And I mean, just like you do something and a father finds out, you're gonna be fucked up. That's just life. That's just nature. That's the way of the universe. So Kelly and Bortus basically flee. Kelly and Bortus basically flee, and there's a nice little chase. They get on the shuttlecraft. They're trying to fly out of. They're flying through the canyons. It started becoming Star Wars at this point, and then of course, Mocklin fighters were pursuing them, and they couldn't outmaneuver them. They couldn't outrun them. So they did a. They pulled a Star Fox and they did a flip. I forget what they call it, where they do a flip and now they're behind. Now they're behind the fighters, and they take all 3 of them out. And then
Because the exhaust port is the weakest point of those fighters.
Yeah, so that's where they shot at. They destroyed them, and then they get to space, and then they go to quantum, and then they're gone. So that was a nice little set piece, a nice little Star Wars set piece, very similar, very John Williams style music at this
the
point.
flight through the canyon too. Very, you could, even though you could say for the sake of the plot device, that's why they're alive. But still, I mean, the fact that Bortus and Kelly are able to navigate through that canyon as it's falling apart, that's pretty cool.
Okay, yeah, Ben Thatcher's correcting me right here. He says it wasn't the Star Fox flip; it was the Maverick braking maneuver. Okay, all right. Okay, that's all right. That's on me.
That would have flown past my head. I wasn't even aware that they were using real maneuvers. So that tells you a lot about the passionate writing behind this story. They really want to make it as accurate as possible.
Atheist for the Cause says Cobra maneuver. Okay, and then I have to share this. So Nate says, as a father, I will rip his head off and piss on his throat. I hope the voice.
No mercy.
Voice did you justice, Nate. So okay. So now we're back on Earth, and the Mocklins they're sitting at the table, and the Mocklins basically reject the ruling, and then they're once again playing the victim. They're arguing that their culture is the one that is being demeaned by everybody else. And the Mocklins like, we're your most important ally. You can't afford to lose us, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, everyone else is like, this is not how it works. You're part of this union. You have to, you have to adhere to this, the council's ruling. And they're like, no, what are you going to do? And it gets to the point where, like, Ed brings up the necklace. They're saying there's no evidence, and Ed brings up the necklace, and then there's the senator right there trying to say she says something, which is nice. It's nice that she says something. I don't know if this is her final appearance, but R.I.P. I forget the actress's name. I'm so sorry. But then it gets to a point where Gordon gets up and he's like, are we seriously listening to this? And he calls them out on their bullshit. He calls them out on everything. It's like you hide behind your religion, you hide behind your culture to mistreat people, you bastards. At least that's how I worded it. I know it's not exactly how he said it, but and then of course everybody's telling them to shut up. First it's Admiral Halsey, and then Ed finally shuts him up. Ed finally shuts him up. So yeah, Admiral Halsey's really been putting his foot down this episode. First with Ed and now with Gord. So, and
there is one thing about that. As righteous and self-righteous as Malloy was in that, there's no way under any type of military condition would that be tolerated and him still be on the Orville.
No, it wouldn't.
Nope.
So even though he's absolutely right in what he said, and he called him out on all that, he would be demoted and or sent off.
Here, I definitely agree that he should have faced consequences, depending on the situation that they're in. Maybe just for the sake of the universe that we're dealing with, they probably couldn't afford to do that. Maybe.
Yeah, but if it was real,
Gordon is one of their best pilots, and what's keeping a gap between them and the Kalon. So,
if it was real military, they would have shoved their boot up his ass.
They would have kicked him off he wouldn't be enlisted in the Union anymore.
No. Now you go private. So now DJ Ryan G shows it. Now they're back in council, and they're back in council. Let me see. All right. So the Mocklins won't abide by the previous agreements and demand an apology. And then here comes the bombshell. Kelly and Bortus show up.
And let me just say, Peter Macon in this scene. Wow. He was very good in this scene.
Yeah. Excellent delivery.
Did movie Mike?
Yeah.
Well, how could it not?
Yeah, that's true.
Probably the loudest we've ever heard him yell.
Yep, and so Kelly and Bortus are now here, and they're not alone. They brought Topa with all of her wounds. They talk about the black site, and and he says, you Mocklins were going to murder my child. And the Mocklins must answer for their crimes. And then all the delegates, one by one, rise in agreement. Of course, except the Mocklins. So now back in that same dining room in Union Central, Ed and Kelly, Bortus and Havina are present. Havina apologizes to Bortus, and she's like, I don't expect you to ever forgive me. And Bortus is like, you're right. I won't.
Good answer.
And that's basically the consequence. That's basically Havina's consequence in this episode.
I think he said, like,
Bortus doesn't
that's a reasonable assumption.
That's a reasonable assumption, yeah. So that was the major consequence for what Havina caused throughout this episode, was Bortus not forgiving her. I don't think that was enough, in my opinion, but that's just me.
Not near enough.
No. But going back, we find out that Mocklus. So I thought Mocklus was going to secede from the Union. I did not ever think Mockless was going to be expelled from the Union based on the need for weapons. I was surprised. I was like, "Are you?" I was like, "Oh." I was like, I mean, they're not at war with the Mocklins, not yet, but they're expelling them and they're severing all relations with them. That's what they said. I was like, "Are you sure you want to be doing this now?" I mean, you already have your there's two wars going on. There's the Kalon and there's the Krill. I mean, they're not at peace with the Krill. They're more alone than ever now. I mean, this, like I said in the beginning of the stream, they're in a worse position now than they were last season.
They're a worse position in terms of defensive, but they're not technically alone. You know, you saw in the end of this episode all of the other civilizations that stood up and in honor of the Union, so that they all were basically backing up the Union.
And apparently they're not important enough because we haven't
seen much of them, and they probably don't offer much to the table when it comes to weaponry and defense. Maybe supplies. That's what they can only offer. But other than that, yeah.
So, and there's only two. And here's the thing: there's only 2 episodes left. What are they going to do in those 2 episodes? I mean, imagine if Hulu doesn't. Imagine if Hulu doesn't. Renew the show for another season, and it just ends like this.
Wouldn't make sense, but yeah, that would be a major buzzkill.
So the Mocklins have been expelled from the Union, and so now the female colony is now under the complete protection of the Union itself. So now
that look on her face pisses me off. She's all happy now. I mean, yes, it's a triumphant moment, but it's like, she should be like, "I'm sorry, I'm glad it worked out, but I wish it was different." She's not even apologetic. All of a sudden, it's all okay.
Well, she got rewarded for her bad behavior.
Yes,
like you put us in peril, but you got what you wanted. Good for you. All the female Mocklins are safe, but we're screwed. But hey, you're safe.
Yeah, man.
The same thing happened in the Tale of Two Topas. Kelly first get bitched out by the Admiral, but then the Admiral looks at them like, "Good job."
Yeah.
Good point.
I mean, the assumption I'm making is the Krill, or not the Krill, oh my gosh, I'm getting streamer brain because it's 3 a.m. The robot dudes.
Kalon.
The Kalon are going to attack the Mocklins, and the Mocklins are going to come crawling back to the Union or something like that. That'll solve all that real quick.
Or do you think the Mocklins will attack Earth again, or try to attack Earth?
I have a scary thought. What if the Krill and the Mocklins band up?
Dude,
that is something you've been talking to us about.
Victory for Krill and Mocklins. There you go.
They are not too far different from a species. They are kind of backwards people in a way.
Yeah, that's true. So, what else did I write? Okay, so.
Oh, wait, there's more.
We're back on the Orville. Claire starts healing Topa's face. Claire goes to Bortus and basically says, "I've healed her physically, but with all the trauma that she's been through, she's gonna need to start attending counseling sessions for this."
Deanna Troi.
I think Guinan was a better counselor than Deanna Troi was, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Counselor Camel Toe.
Yeah. So now we get. I was wondering if this character was going to appear in this episode, and he finally did at this moment. Clyden comes back. Once he heard about what happened to Topa, he came right away. And he asked to speak. He asked Bortus if he can speak with her. And he ends up going up to her, and she's really happy to see him. Clyden says that he missed her. He apologizes to her for what he said. He says he hated her, but never wished her harm. He ends up realizing his prejudice and that he must change. And then he accepts her as she is and is proud. And
Yeah,
then
I'm
of course
glad.
she says, "I love you, Papa." And then we see Bortus, and he's happy.
Clyden got some points, but who else went like, oh no, Clyden's back?
Probably
That
Nate.
was a chore.
Nate probably.
Yeah, a little bit.
Nate probably felt that way.
But,
But,
like, he got some points with me in the end. I'm like, okay, he's got to make up for what he said last, because that was just messed up. And
It
then he did.
was. I honestly thought Clyden was going to be part of the inspection team.
You
Yeah,
gotta
too.
really give
Yeah, I thought
also, Topa really a lot of respect for her just being happy to see him after what he said to her
Yeah.
last. So
Yeah,
it's like-
that's kind of hard to believe because kids usually you say something mean to a kid and the kid's not.
But I think like after all this she's gone through, she was just after
Yeah.
everything, she was just really happy to just see him.
He was
again.
relieved to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason why Clyden did this was learning what the Mocklins did to her, what the Mocklins did to her ultimately. So so it was a very emotional moment. It was a very emotional moment, and we get to the very final scene of this episode. They're eating to dinner together as a family. And the first thing I thought in my mind was, I still kind of thought, despite this, I thought Clyden and Bortus were done, to be honest, with their relationship. I mean, they
Sorry,
could.
I was laughing at what Fuppets had said.
Hope Clyden doesn't sleep stamp Bortus. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to go through another divorce proceeding. And
Yeah.
I finally found what I was looking for. When asking about, if you see your child being having their hands laid on like that by somebody else, what would you do? I was reminded of something that happened a long time ago. Back in the 80s, there was a gentleman that took the law into his own hands, and during a transfer of his son's killer, he came up from a payphone and shot the bastard point blank in the head. And it took me a while to find the video of it, but I finally did find it. And yeah, just in looking at it, it's a miracle that he hit only him and didn't hit the cop that was on the left side of him. But yeah, they didn't charge him with anything. He did it, and I'm glad he did it. Anymore, the way that they got things now, it's not as easy to do that these days. So yeah, that when you talk about how far would you go, yeah, we got to be willing to go all the way to defend our children, absolutely, without question or hesitation. You fuck around with my kids, you'll end up with a problem. Let's just put it that way.
Like the saying says, you mess with the bull, you get the horns.
That's right. And you'll get the horns right up the ass.
Is that a rule of Mike? Is that one of Mike's rules of the universe?
Well, if I had kids, which I do not, but if someone did that to my kids, you better believe I would go after that person.
Mm-hmm.
I would defend my kids.
Full on Liam Neeson.
With a certain set of skills. But yeah,
We'll
so Mike, now you have to come up with more Mike's I forget what I even called it now. Mike's sayings of the universe. So I hope to hear one every episode now.
You've never heard that expression, you mess with the bull, you get the horns?
Yeah, I've heard it. I want to hear more. I want to hear more from you. So, all right. So, final scene. They're eating dinner as a family, and then Kelly. So it's Topa, Bortus, and Clyden. They're eating. Kelly comes and welcomes and literally says, "Welcome to Clyden." And it gets a little tense at first because of the way things left off and Tale of Two Topas. Clyden ultimately thanks Kelly for her role in his daughter's life, in Topa's life. And we learn that they have renounced their Mocklin citizenship, and Clyden gives a gesture and offers her dinner and a seat at their table, and they eat together. And that's the end of this episode. So we're 8 episodes in. There's only 2 episodes left, and like I kept saying, like, so they completely kind of undid what Tale of Two Topas did with Clyden. So Clyden, they get rid of Clyden. They bring Clyden back. Clyden's now changed. Clyden's no longer
stick out his ass. He's a better person.
Clyden's no longer the Karen type of bigot. And so that kind of brings that kind of full circle.
Wonder what they were trying to say with Kelly and Bortus though this episode.
Yeah, I know, right?
I think I'm smelling another love. I'm smelling another love triangle.
They're making eyes.
I was telling Mike earlier, kind of reminded me of Jadzia and Worf a bit.
Mhm.
Yeah, it kind of did. It kind of did. So who knows? Who knows at this point? So now we're about an hour and a half in. So now that we got through it, any final thoughts before we wrap up the stream? I'll start with Brandon. Did you like it? What would you give it?
I'll give this episode a 7. The second half definitely was better than the first, and there are, as I said, this one. My biggest thing was at the very beginning of it, dealing with telling kids to keep a secret even from their parents. You don't do that.
No, I agree with that.
That's an absolute massive red flag and
That's a
huge
very
no-no.
creepy.
So
That's a very creepy thing to do. Yeah,
it is. So we don't know the whole fallout of everything yet. Personally, what's her face needs to go to whatever the union has for a jail, because she absolutely, to be blunt, she fucked the union, and she did it without hesitation, without anything, any type of awareness of the consequence or caring about the consequence. All that she can see is her people, which that's been her whole life. Or at least ever since she was found out, that's what her mission became. That's fine and dandy, but a lot of good it'll do your people if what the hell are they? The Kalon. If the Kalon decide to do another full invasion again, and they overwhelm everybody because no one's willing to work together. So you have the Mocklans doing their own thing now, with them being expelled from the Union. The Krill doing their own thing, but personally I think the Krill probably are a lot more adept at defending themselves and being able to fight off the Kalon. Whereas the rest of the Union is now completely and totally hosed. They're not going to have the ability to fend off an invasion. And if, depending upon what they choose to do with these last few episodes, they could either show the consequences of these actions in the form of a Kalon invasion, or they might not. I really don't know what they're going to do. It all depends upon, I guess, if they get renewed or not. They've already got the show finished, so there's too many possibilities left. But as far as the causes and the effects and everything with this episode, it looks like too many people did stupid things, and they are rewarded for it. That's a big no-no in my book.
That's it right there. Sums it up perfectly.
So, as far as Bortus goes, yeah, Kelly should have just taken the child and just turn your head, child, don't look, and just let Bortus finish the job. Mm-hmm. Whether or not the dude is, he's obviously got permanent eye damage, or he's blind now. Whether or not he can relay the information that he learned is still to be seen. So, as I said, this episode didn't bother me nearly as bad as some others, but it does have some things that do concern me. I think I see where they're trying to go with it, but this has Brandon Braga written all over it, as far as all the tropes and how the story progressed and everything. And out of all the different people that are working on this show, he is by far my least favorite person. By far. But even with all that, I'll give it a 7. And overall, now for the whole season up to this point, it has been. I gave it a 9.5 to start with. It had been slowly, steadily dropping. The low point a few weeks ago, it picked back up. I think we're probably right at around a 7.5, maybe an 8. But as I said, there are certain things that they've tried to do. They tried to be more neutral about certain things, and I definitely appreciate it. But I do think that they were trying to go for a leaning or leading you towards the wokey woke lefty loony ideas that is more along Seth MacFarlane's wheelhouse, but some of them didn't land that way, precisely because it's 3 years later after all these episodes were theoretically written. But we'll just have to see. We've only got 2 more left. Yeah. It's at the point where they got to do a shit or get off the pot. It's dragged in a few places. Some of the episodes have been really interesting and have really touched on a lot of things, but we're at that point where they got to shit, get off the pot. They better be renewed if they're going to fulfill what they're trying to do, but I have a sinking feeling that they're not going to get renewed.
We'll see. What about you, Steve?
I mean, 6. I'd say 6 or 7, right where Brandon put it. I mean, for all the reasons he's pretty much summed up. I mean, I'm not a big fan of things not making sense, and there's a few things like her not getting any punishment whatsoever and being basically rewarded at the end just sort of rubbed me the wrong way. And then the whole beginning, like he summed it up pretty eloquently. And then I think we've all sort of touched on, you touched my kid, you're going down. I don't think Boris should have stopped for several reasons. Not only that he should have just killed the guy, but I mean, I think it's been said a few times in chat too. That spy the interrogator knows everything, knows who the spy is. That spy is screwed, right? I mean, it's one of those, they got the information, right? So they're, you want to get rid of everybody at that point, I would think, right? So I don't know. That's a small thing, but just I don't know. It just, the beginning was real slow for me, and then just the conclusion of it just didn't make a lot of sense. The union's making very many steps backwards, and they're very open for eradication at this point. And I'd say 6 or 7 for me.
Okay. What about you, DJ Ronnie G?
Yeah, I'd say I was already in the neighborhood of 7.5, maybe an 8 if, like you both you gentlemen pointed out, some loose ends or some things that didn't make sense. I would have liked to see some consequence for whatever her name is. What's her name?
Havina.
Vina. Is that the same name as the lady from TOS? Anyway,
Hevina,
but yeah, so
Hevina, not just Vina, Hevina.
Hevina. Okay, so I mean, like, just something, even if it was like her being dethroned, and like somebody else inside her camp taking charge, anything, but like her being able to like be happy at the end of the episode really just added insult to injury. Otherwise, I like the action, I mean, I think a lot of it followed a reasonable progression, but I really had a big gripe with that specific aspect.
Okay. What about you, Spock?
Okay, actually it was really, I guess, kind of fair and nice to this episode. I don't know. I started watching it with my friend a couple hours ago, and then we just kind of were trying to see what is going to be the main lesson of this episode. And we kind of took a couple of guesses. The first with Gordon and Topa having a crush on Gordon. Maybe this is going to have some weird deal with like unusual relationships. Is it going to have to go into something like that? But then later, as the episode progressed, we were finding out it's having to deal more with, well, there's a subplot, but it's having to deal more with family. Simply like what we were bringing up earlier, if you mess with my kids, you're going down. So it's kind of like, it's definitely like a family tale. I have 2 things I don't like about this episode, and other than that, I feel like the progression in this episode compared to what we've gotten already isn't isn't as good, but I still feel like the progression in this episode is fairly simple, and we can actually understand what's happening. So I wasn't really too lost in this episode. But there was two things I didn't like, and that was one, no consequences for Havina's actions, but I don't agree that there wasn't any consequences at all in this episode. The Mocklins did secede from the Union, so that was a consequence that led.
No, they were
ultimately.
expelled. They were expelled.
Yeah, they were expelled pretty much. Sorry. So there's a loss for the Union's part. They're weaker now in terms of weaponry compared to the Kalon. So that was a consequence that ultimately all led from Havina herself because of her actions. But yeah, I do feel like she should have suffered some repercussions for what she did, not just have been rewarded. Maybe somebody should have replaced her position, somebody also within her group, more trustworthy, more favored upon, that could have taken in Havina's steps. But
I totally agree.
It's kind of interesting to put this into perspective because they see Havina as kind of like a William Shakespeare, don't forget, because she's like the poet for their entire planet. So it's kind of hard to replace her in a way. So I'm sure that would be kind of difficult to do. But the other thing I didn't really like was there should have been more of a Mocklin resistance. And that's my final thing. There should have been more of a Mocklin resistance when they were rescuing Topa. Not just a basic hallway battle with your phaser rifles, but there should have been a bit more of like a presence outside of the facility where they had to fight and then work their way in. It kind of felt a little too easy to me. But other than that, I honestly give this episode an 8.5 because I really like how they brought back Clyden. I did not expect that. I don't even care for his character except for what they did in this episode. They kind of redeemed him they didn't fully redeem him because I still didn't like the things he said to Topa, but they're trying. You can tell that they're trying to make him more of a redeemable character, and I like that they're putting that effort into him because it's the last character you'd expect them to put any effort in. So I give this episode definitely an 8.5.
Okay, thanks, Bach. And last but most certainly not least, Michael.
Well, I like this episode more than I like last week's. When I came on last week, I did not like last week's episode because I thought it was too busy. Too many plot threads being thrown at us. 4 plot threads when this episode had 2. You had the one dealing with Havina's actions and Ed confronting her about it and the Union having to deal with it. And the other was Kelly and Bortus having to go rescue Topa. So that was a plus for me. And I also like the development of Kelly and Bortus's relationship. Whether you want to say that they're starting a new romance, that remains to be seen. But as far as colleagues, they're building a stronger relationship, a stronger building of trust between one another. And this was a solid episode to me. So I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Well, let me say this. I was supposed to be on here last week before my internet decided to go sideways on me, and that was quite a hell of an ordeal. Having a lightning strike take out a whole shit ton of networking equipment.
Not on.
Fortunately, it wasn't
Goddamn
mine,
Thor.
but it was my ISP's equipment at a point-to-point tower that's about 2 miles from where I'm at here. It was a gigantic mess, but I
I'm sorry
really
to hear
liked
that.
last week's episode. They really made up for a lot of issues that I had with the episode prior. That everything regarding Malloy and how they treated the whole idea of a cohesive family, it broiled me badly. Well, the Admiral, you remember how
Was that last
unpleasant I
week's
was in
episode,
chat.
or was last week's episode with Claire and Isaac? I forget.
Yeah, last week was Claire and Isaac and the whole androids with feelings. They should have called the episode Dances with Androids or Dances with Kalons. But last week they did a much better job of telling a more cohesive story, and even though they did have a lot of plot threads, they didn't leave any of them really hanging. So last week's episode, to me, was way better than the one prior, and it was nice to have that more laid back type of episode, dealing with Isaac again, and how is he going to reconcile him having him dating Claire, or having the type of feeling she has for him, and what can he do about it in his state of logic only? How can he process an emotion or get an emotion while dealing only with logic? Now, I like the fact that they gave him the emotion so we could see was it Mark Isaac, whatever his
Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson. He is an excellent actor. He really does have that ability to convey things with his vocal patterns. And then, of course, when he gets his skin suit on, he really does capture Isaac perfectly, both in the pure logical form. But it was really great to see him be able to experience all those emotions, even though they didn't last. And it was really interesting how at the end there, they gave him the choice, and Claire basically said no. She wanted him to change just a little bit for her to be able to fulfill her needs. And when he did that, that showed to her that, yes, his logic is coming along. It's becoming, even though he doesn't grasp it or doesn't fully understand it, he's comprehending some parts of emotion through the lens of logic. And then having her tell him, no, don't go through with this because it will erase everything that I loved about you. That was a good turnaround. And I know that in certain circles that I run around in, there are a lot of people that had problems with that episode precisely because of Isaac changing for somebody, or should you as a man change anything about yourself for a woman? Some people say if you love the person, you'll change some things, maybe not all things, but you'll change some things. And there are other people that say absolutely not. Why the hell should I change for anybody? And I can tell you, as a married man, you will change some things about you. Maybe not everything, but you will go through some change and some growth within that relationship.
Well, I honestly think it's just, a matter of opinion, sure. I think it's a very strong opinion to say that I shouldn't want to change for anybody. I personally think there is that sacrifice that is needed, like you said, in a marriage, because you can't be selfish like that your entire life. At least I consider that being selfish. I don't know. I do have my own things, my own habits that I eventually cannot see myself doing as a married man. So, I mean, I understand there are going to have to be sacrifices. So there are some things everybody's going to have to change. That's the whole part about maturing and growing up. So.
And here's the most important comment about their relationships are about sacrifice.
Absolutely. They are. And I can tell you, when I was in my younger 20s, I was nowhere near ready for any type of relationship because I was of that mindset. Why the hell should I change anything about myself? Because I liked who I was, the single guy doing all the bachelor shit, drinking and games and all the stuff that you could do in your 20s back in the early 2000s. I did most
right now with school.
Yeah. I did most of that stuff, but as I got older, at least with my first wife, I changed at least for the first while, I changed quite a bit about myself. But after a bit, I brought some things back into it, like computers and all that other stuff. And it didn't work out with my first wife, but my wife now, Amy, who there's no way in hell we're together. We're together for time and all eternity. We're not going anywhere. She knew about all the various quirks that I have up front, and she gives me the space to do this. This is something that I do. She doesn't. She may not understand the why I like to do it. She may not understand the why I like talking about anime being my thing, but she's supportive of me enough to allow me to do it. And then we do have our things that we do together.
That's cool.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks for sharing that.
Mhm.
All right. For me, for this episode, I I mean, all the stuff that all the points that you guys made were very were with full merit. Like I agree with everything that you guys said. Um, however, I mean, for me, I still enjoyed the episode, but I felt like there were things wrong with it. Like now they didn't do nearly like I said earlier. I don't think they did nearly as bad as New Trek did when it comes to consequences because I felt like there were some consequences that were dealt with, but I feel like especially Havina, I feel like her consequences regarding her was insufficient. So that's an issue I have.
Somebody did bring up earlier, and I don't mean to interrupt you. Somebody did bring up earlier in the chat that maybe, that's not what they're going to focus on solely, but we could hear that later down the road that she was faced some consequences. So we don't know.
Well, I mean,
exactly.
it could happen down the line. I mean, I'll give the Orville the benefit of the doubt.
But it should have happened now.
Yeah, I mean, at least one thing happened. Boris didn't forgive her. I mean,
Yeah.
Boris doesn't forgive you. I mean,
Another consequence. You're going to lose a
if
friend
Boris,
there.
if Boris didn't forgive me, I don't know what I'd do with myself. Honestly, I don't know what I'd do with myself.
Yeah,
I'm
me
kidding.
neither.
I'm kidding. But I mean, the Dolly Parton stuff I did enjoy. I just thought it was cute. I just thought it was cute because it's me. I mean,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
was it necessary? Probably not. Was it necessary to be in the episode to change your mind? I mean, it was funny, it was cute, but I don't think it was truly necessary. I think there should have been another talk between her and maybe her and Ed or her and Tala or something. But once again, that scene was cute. The whole Havina being creepy, kind of, I did not like that. I like it's just
Yeah.
another thing is like get to know your heroes too long and they become
Mhm.
creepy and opportunist, and I just didn't like that.
Yep.
Because I liked Havina's character, especially the way they portrayed her in episode in Tale of Two Topas, and I am just like whatever.
Yeah, now they're
So-
painting her to be desperate. I don't like that either.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
yeah, obviously they're going to be desperate, but she wouldn't break a promise knowing the kind of person she was. I mean, I guess we don't know her. Maybe this whole season is about the idea of, do we really know these characters the way we do? Because same thing happened with Talia. We don't really know her anymore.
Exactly. I love the shots of this. I loved all the shots of this episode, despite the fact that characters was it? I forget who said it in the chat. Was it Ben Thatcher that said, "Why don't they sit down?" Or was it Atheist? I forget which one of you guys said that. It was beautiful shots of the ship, beautiful shots from inside the ship and inside the shuttle. I loved seeing Planet California again as the colony. I thought that was, that's very Star Trek. That it felt at home in regards to 90s Trek. So that I kind of got a kick out of seeing like the beautiful shots of the Luminites was really nice. It was very magical. The music was excellent, like usual. Joel McNeely, who has been doing who does the music, has just been kicking it out of the ballpark every episode. Like this is like movie. Once again, this is movie quality shit. So
Yeah.
I loved, but the best characters together was I agree, Boris and Kelly. Boris and Kelly together it was just cool seeing them work together, seeing them develop their characters together. And the whole Topa being kidnapped. I mean, all of us saw that coming a mile away. They tortured Topa. It was terrible.
I saw that coming a mile away when I saw her walking towards a bush near a dark corner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then once you hear the snapping of twigs, you're like, okay. But here's the thing: at least she didn't get chased like a certain show, like a certain baby Leia did in a certain show called Kenobi, which was terrible.
Yeah, at least those guys have an excuse.
That was pathetic.
Yeah, at least those guys have an excuse to be there because we saw them earlier. There are other Mocklins there patrolling the area. We don't know exactly how far en route their patrol is. That's why I was concerned. I'm like, they are a little bit too comfortable knowing that these Mocklin guys are here. What if they could just kidnap one of them and just take off?
Yeah,
I mean that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and I'll just say, at least the kidnapping was kind of believable. It was kind of
it was
more believable
It was.
than what we've seen recently. So
That's what I mean. It
and
added the suspense. so
but
it's
then
real.
then they they torture her. I mean, the rescue was fine, but like Spock, like you said, like it was completely underwhelming.
It's too
Like
easy.
it was barely like for a black site, you would think there would be
Yeah.
I
more.
wanted to see
there'd be more
Bortus
security.
knock some fools out, push them through a wall or something. Like I wanted to see some more physical
Yeah,
combat.
not just your typical Star Trek Voyager corridor.
Yeah.
This is why
corridor,
Star Trek was cool.
firefight.
Whenever you'd fight Klingons, they would not have weapons. They'd have weapons. They wouldn't have phasers. They'd have batliths. So it was a lot more of an entertaining fight that way.
But I love Way of the Warriors bit fight where the Klingons board and
Oh yeah.
it gets crazy.
Very
cool. But going back to this, it was underwhelming. Best part of the rescue was Bortus beating the crap out of that one-eyed interrogator.
Yes.
Like just beating him, and then just takes that krill thing and just shoves it in his eye.
Yep.
Other eye. Now he's really
so
blind.
he's either Ellie Driver from Kill Bill once again, or if I want to go Godfather, I'll say Mo Green, because Mo Green gets gets shot in the eye. Get it? Never mind.
Oh my god.
And then I thought the final chase was pretty Star Warsy. It was pretty cool. But yeah, it was an okay episode. Then you had and then I felt like it was just repeating last season. Another thing I felt was they were repeating last season, the episode where they bring her for the council. I felt like they just kind of repeated that again, but this time the Mocklins are gone. Like they're done with this, and I just felt like that wasn't a good decision on their part. I think there should have been. I don't think they should have just went and got rid of them. Like there should have been. I don't know. I think there should have been.
Do you think they should have left it toward the season finale?
Yeah, here's the thing. I think they should have just they're stuck between a rock and a hard place now. I mean, they're worse off now, and there are 2 episodes left. They are worse off now than they were last season.
Very much so.
I mean, not counting the road not taken.
Well, if they attack now, what would they do? Like,
they'd be fucked.
Yeah, they'd have to go begging the krill or the Mocklins.
That's why I think we might be missing something here. We either are missing another ally that might be made, or...
Well, that new one from last week, that's one potential, but I'm not sure if they have the military.
I don't think they're going to make a big part.
Whoa. I've been
going to
saying this before. What about the Caldon or whatever they're called, the ones that holds different species in their zoo?
Remember the other aliens, the ones that the guys turned into those aliens, and they actually had their own spaceship, and they all fleed off to it, and that was the last. That was in Krill space. They had a pretty advanced looking spaceship. What if those guys come back?
Weren't those like even worse bad guys?
Those goblin guys?
They were technically bad guys, but never
they're
know.
worse than the Krill, weren't they?
Right,
the Krill theorem.
We could be. We're still missing like a bunch of context. Maybe there could be a potential team up because they both realize that they're at danger because of the Kalon. But they both see it as a temporary kind of truce, and then after they're gonna take advantage of them.
I just feel like any magical alliance that pops up is sort of just like we need we're not strong enough. We need somebody to ally with now. I don't know.
It probably couldn't even be an alliance. It'll probably just be, they're also aware of the situation. They're not technically aligning themselves with the Union, but they are fighting.
Temporary alliance of necessity type deal.
Kinda, but they're not really aligning themselves. So, like, say the Union in the next episode that's coming up, they actually are having a full-fledged space battle with the Kalon, and it's not looking good for the Union. In comes these guys because they're also aware about what's happening, and if Earth goes down, they're next. So they have to take the front lines, and they're not technically aligning themselves with the Union. They probably, if it gets really dark enough, they might even shoot the Union. But I think for the sake of beating the Kalon, they're not going to do that. So they're, like I said, they're not going to team up with them. The only reason I bring them up is because they were the only species we've seen in this season that we've never known. Oh, other than the all-female government civilization we saw last episode. They're the only other species that have like really advanced technology, from what it seemed.
Yeah.
Unless, like Brandon brought up, those Q-like species come back, but I don't think they're going to be one-sided. I feel like they're just going to either just watch by and let this happen, or they might intermediate with the entire fight and tell them all to just stop fighting, or they'll just destroy them all at once, like the Kalon, the Union.
Yeah, there's too many possibilities.
Yeah, it's at this point now where when I first saw the beginning episodes of this season, it felt pretty predictable. Now it's like I don't know what the heck's gonna happen. It could be hundreds of different choices right now.
Well, I mean, even looking at the episode titles for the next 2 episodes, Domino and then Future Unknown, we could all speculate all the rest of the night what those 2 episodes could be about.
Yeah.
Domino is like a domino effect because of the dropout or exclusion of the Mocklins, and then the future. What did you say the second one was?
Future Unknown.
Well, the future is unknown. Okay, now I'm messing around. I don't know about that one.
It's obviously Future Unknown's obviously a cliffhanger. So
yeah.
So they wrote it with the anticipation of getting renewed. So this is not going to be over this season. So they're not going to wrap everything up this season.
Doctor Strange portal appears, and then out comes the Defiant, and then the Federation.
I must say, DJ Ronnie G, that Game Boy that you were working on was looking pristine.
Well, the reason I pulled this out was to commemorate tonight's episode, because we wanted to take, I took a Game Boy a camera photo of the screen so we can have this for all eternity. And because, of course, Brian, you were washed out, and, this is your show. I mean, we can't have that. I took a close-up of you so we can commemorate you in fantastic, crappy quality Game Boy camera quality. Yeah, so
90s technology.
There you go. All right.
This is going to be like an upcoming video, but where we use this device here to back up Game Boy games. And apparently, this works. Like, this totally works. Like, this is a thing. Like, it's so cool, man. I'm so happy I got
that
this.
Is
but
cool.
It's weird seeing me in a Game Boy. It's weird seeing me in a Game Boy. I feel like I'm trapped now. I feel like I'm trapped in a black and white world.
I'll tell you this right now.
So bizarre.
If we end up in any type of situation where power becomes a massive premium and we're all running on backup generators or something like that, I am going to make sure I have a fleet of Game Boy Advances that I can play with my kids, because that's about the only thing that we'll be able to power. No, everything pre-internet type stuff. I would absolutely love to have 4 Game Boy Advances and a crap ton of get a few EverDrives and load them up.
Oh yeah.
Of course, with all of my legally purchased games. Remember, kids, make sure you're legal.
They even got battery chargers for AA batteries that run on solar. It's a USB charge, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge a power bank off of solar, and then I'm going to charge the AA's off of the power bank, and that's how I would, operate the Game Boys during the post-apocalyptic era.
And you're going to be doing
it's amazing.
You're going to be doing that all at light speed?
Can I go faster than light?
Ludicrous.
Well, if you go faster than light, then you run into the time dilation problems.
And you might become a salamander.
Exactly.
Can't have that. Can't have that.
But yeah, I love 90s tech in general, and I absolutely adore the Game Boy Advance. Once you start throwing in Wi-Fi and the ability to update stuff, that's when it all fell apart. It really did. If you look at, not to go too far off a tangent, but if you look at all the various game systems starting from the 2000s, the PlayStation 2, the Xbox, and the GameCube, they did have internet capabilities, but they didn't do game updates.
Well, like you're saying, now they can release a half-made game or a game with tons of bugs in it before, the deadline, and they can say, but we'll give you a patch to fix it, which is like other BS.
Yeah, it really is, and
so the Dragon Ball GameCube games and not GameCube, Game Boy Advance games.
Same by the
I'm really impressed with what with what you can do to modify these old systems to to either restore them,
Oh,
new
yeah.
caps in them, digital,
Mhm.
better digital outputs, or like with the Game
Oh,
Boys or Game Boy
yeah.
Advances, having a whole new screen that's a little LED.
HDMI on the N64 right here.
Oh, that's
I
a
love it.
oof.
Oh yeah, I'm
That's-
happier than a
that's
pig and
beautiful.
dog poo right here. Bad angle here,
How much
but
stuff
yeah,
you got stuffed around there?
that's
Good
actually a
Lord.
micro HDMI, a mini HDMI port.
Yeah, I saw it. That's not an easy thing to do and not a cheap thing to do, but you do
Yeah.
it. That's the system to do it too, because it benefits massively from it.
I had to clean it properly when I was done. I did the soldering in one night, but it took me a week to figure out why it kept glitching out. But that's a whole other topic. Did I upload a video? I got to do a consolidated video on that topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to plug? I mean, let's start plugging away. I'm getting tired, so let's. So DJ, do you have a channel that you want to share? With
I do, and
people?
like I said I was gonna upload.
Revolution?
Well, I sometimes do stuff on the channel. But yeah, like last week I said I was gonna upload a video that I said I would upload the week before. Then I thought I uploaded that video and realized 3 days ago I didn't. So yeah, like I gotta upload that today or tomorrow. That's relating to the N64 memory card backup thingamajig. And then immediately after that, I'm gonna just like show off my Steam Deck because I got it today. But really, the video that I actually, completed was the one on this device here. So I'm just polishing it up before I upload it.
Okay.
So we got two things in the
Nice.
pipeline that are like original.
Okay. Cool. About you, Brandon? Don't you have a channel? Don't you do stuff with anime or whatever
Well,
you call it?
Well, yeah, yes, I do, and
Also, I'm trying it, by the way. I'm on episode 19 now, so.
yeah, so yeah, I am the anime guy. I do run my own channel. I talk about anime and typically live stream 2 to 3 times a week. Try to drop videos. Saturday being the big show at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time, and this weekend I've got the one and only Snow Dub with the Snow Kid, and we're going to talk family-friendly anime, which for them is probably a Fist of the North Star, but you know what? That's okay.
It was a good time.
So yes, I like to do gaming too, but I don't get the chance to do a ton of that. And
Okay.
it's hard to try and do multiple things on a channel when it's primarily known for one thing. The algorithm just it is what it is. So yeah, it's nice to talk something other than anime every once in a while, but anime is my bag.
All right. Well,
I will say this. I do want to say this though, real quick. Uncle from Another World is perfect. What happened with Sega? Did they win the console wars? No, Uncle. It's now Sony and Nintendo dominated. What about Sega? They stopped making hardware back in the 90s. What? It's so good. It is as it was put to me, it is peak Aseki. It is the peak of this genre. It really is good. If you have crap flicks, watch it. And they're actually not making it available to binge. They're making only one episode a week available on it. So they're starting to learn. They're starting to adapt because let's face it, they're in the doldrums. So, anyways, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Brandon. Steve.
Brandon said a lot of words that I don't understand. So anime is this. It's my daughter loves it though. So she I'm sure she understood exactly what you're saying. So, Prophet of the Dragon. I hang out here with the Admiral himself on Monday. I do some stuff on my channel when I get around to it when the real life job isn't killing me. But maybe some game stuff. I play with my kid every once in a while. He makes fun of me, makes me look bad. But yeah, just sort of having fun, making a video every now and again, and hanging out here with you guys and in Norporeal on Mondays for our favorite. Well, my favorite. I think it's your favorite. I don't want to talk for you, but
Oh no,
yeah.
it is. Recall Saul. Yeah.
There you go. It's hard to beat right now, but yeah, I'll make. If I'm not subbed to all you guys, I think I am. I'll make sure that I am after tonight. But I think I am. I think I got all you guys down. I'll make sure of it. But yeah, just hanging out and having fun when I can. talking some crap, right?
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, man.
What about you, Spock?
Well, that was awesome. It was good to meet you, Steve.
Yeah, you too.
I am gonna be streaming STO Star Trek Online again this Friday. The Ryzen event is still going on. I already got the Sundarian jellyfish from Encounter at Farpoint. Probably gonna just keep flying that again. This time I simulated it, so that should be fun to watch.
So is the
Oh
Bandy
my
City,
God.
Bandy City even more messed up now because of that?
Yes, not just that planet though. Every single.
Oh, they got more.
planet in the
They're on more
yeah.
planets too. Oh,
Yep.
bastards. How's your project going that I provided my beautiful voice for?
So, yes, an update on the episodic series, episode 2. The captain has sent in her voice lines. So now all that is left is some, maybe some extra voice lines from Nerdporial here, and then a few extra scenes from the game, and then the episode is complete. So then we can upload. Because I already made, first thing I did before this episode started production, I made the cover for it, so I could get that out of the way, because making the cover for the episode takes the longest time. So yeah. Make sure to stop by this Friday. I only stream on Fridays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so make sure to come by.
Thank you,
Friday night.
thank you, Spock. May the remember peace and long life.
May the Schwartz be with you.
Thanks, merchandise. And last but most certainly not least, Mike, Pacific 414.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, yes, I do have a channel where I talk pop culture with Pacific 4 and 4 Pop Talk every Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern and every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, unless I've done a special stream on Saturday evening, which those occur once a month, where I pick a special theme. And this past Saturday's theme was video games, and next month's theme is going to be anime.
Man, that was a good video game stream.
Yes.
Oh, cool. All right.
But
Thank you. Go ahead.
I also do episode reviews and movie reviews, live game streams, and on occasion, even though the team absolutely positively sucks, and I'm saying that as a fan who still pays attention to what's going on, I'll occasionally recap a Chicago Cubs game, and probably the next episode of the Box Score won't be until August 2nd, which is the Major League Baseball trading deadline.
And say, how are the Cubs doing? Or should I not ask that?
Well, if the Reds win and the Cubs lose, the Cubs will be officially in last place in the National League Central.
Oh, no.
Yes, with 35 wins and 58 losses.
That's harsh.
Oh, man.
to win the tournament, not lose it.
Okay. Thanks, Mike. Anything else?
Nope, that's it from me.
Okay, well, everybody, all their links are in the description. So if you haven't sub to them, go and sub to all of them. Well, maybe except for Spock. I don't know.
Too late.
Dolphin, I don't know.
Too late.
I don't know what to.
Too late. I got it.
Too late. Okay. All right. But for me, I mean, it's for me. I'm going to continue to do these Orville streams. I love doing them. 2 more episodes left, and then of course I'm going to continue to do my Better Call Saul streams. There's 4 episodes left of that. Next show I'm probably going to do is House of the Dragon, which is going to start in August. So I got Steve. Me and Steve are going to be doing that one, and yeah, if anyone is going to watch it, let me know. So. But besides those, and I mean, I know Cobra Kai is going to be something I'm gonna probably do. That's going to come out in September, so that's going to be another show in the future. So, I know I've been I haven't done any movie movie streams in a while. I still have to complete Lord of the Rings. We left off on Two Towers like three or 4 months ago.
I know, man. Blue balling it, man.
Yeah,
we never got to
there were Saturday streams. I just haven't I just haven't been wanting to do any Saturday streams. So, but yeah, Return of the King I have to do Return of the King at some point. So I have to figure that out.
Well, maybe a Monday when after Better Call Saul is over or something. We can just
that
slide
is
in there.
that is an idea. That is an idea.
I'm full of some ideas. They're not all good, but I have ideas.
Yeah, I'll have to ask around too. But yeah, so definitely that. Trying to figure out another video game to stream since I beat Turtles on Sunday. Maybe I'll play another Mega Man, or I don't know. I'll figure that out. And I am getting closer and closer to finishing my Ocarina of Time retrospective in terms of writing.
Yeah.
Just in terms of writing it. I'm in the Shadow Temple right now, so I'm going through all the important rooms and stuff, and trying to tell it like a cohesive story. And then, of course, I have to do conclusion, my final thoughts, and everything else after that. And then I got to record, and then I got to edit. So don't expect that for at least another couple of weeks at the most. So, but it's gonna be I'm already 26 pages in, which is gonna be, I believe, over 2 hours. It's already over 2 hours. I haven't even finished the plot. I haven't finished the plot yet. Then I have to go through conclusion and all that. So I might have to split it. I might have to split it into two. I'm going to split first half and then second half probably. So it'll be like an epic. It'll be like an epic fantasy. It'll be like an epic movie.
There it is. Everybody.
And then I'll probably put together a single video for the entire thing with an intermission and all, just like those old epic movies back in the day. So that's my current project. Then
Ben-Hur up in here.
Yeah, Ben-Hur. I mean, yeah, heck yeah. But yeah, then after that, I'm going to do Planet of the Apes retrospective, the original film, 1968, and then I'm going to do one for Metroid.
Not the Mark Wahlberg one.
I'll mention the Mark Wahlberg one, but not yet. I mean, I do have clips.
I'm
of
playing.
That. But yeah,
I'm busting your balls.
Planet of the Apes is next, and then I'm going to do a Breaking Bad video, just an introduction. You know, hopefully get it done before Better Call Saul ends. And then I'm going to do a Metroid. I'm going to do a Metroid retrospective on Samus's very first mission. So it's going to cover the original Metroid from NES and Metroid Zero mission for Game Boy Advance. So it's going to be one for both of those. And then after that, the last one in my list to do is 2001: A Space Odyssey retrospective. And that's going to be a tough one because it's Kubrick. So, and then after that, I don't know. Like after that, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm thinking maybe a Super Mario.
After that, that's like 2 years of content, bro.
I want to get this done before September. I want to get all this done before September.
After that, I'm trying to figure out how you keep all this stuff in your brain. Like, good lord.
I mean, I made a nerdtorial direct all the way back in November last year of what I was going to do. So I'm still not. I still haven't completed it yet.
Good on you, man. I can't figure out what to do tomorrow. So good on you, bro. Yeah, I'm here for it. I'm waiting for that ocarina. You know it. So
yeah. So that's where I'm at in content. There's never ending ideas. I've brainstormed a lot of things, a lot of projects. Every video is a project for me. Requires a lot of work. So
that it is.
But that's basically where I'm at. So once again, everybody, thank you guys, DJ Ronnie G, Brandon, Steve, Spock, and of course Mike. Thank you guys for joining me on this panel, talk about this episode. I want to thank the chat. I want to thank the chat that came in. Padawannabe, Atheist for the Cause. You've been awesome. Dovi Andy, say Dovius again. Thank you for coming by, watching the episode. Dalek 4051. I know you were kind of salty this whole stream. I understand. JP, thank you. And Ben Thatcher, thank you so much for all the comments and for correcting me when I was wrong. That's what the chat's here for. Chat's always better. Chat's always better. Nate, one of my usual co-hosts or co-panelists. Thank you for coming by too. And Jack of all casuals, Puppets, everybody. Thank you. I think I got everybody. Oh, Games, Movies, and Comics came by too. Nice. Yeah. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and sign us off. Never give up.
Never surrender. I gotta watch that movie again. It's a great movie.
It is.
Did you see the picture of all the captains? Somebody posted a picture of all the true Star Trek captains. And they showed the five, Kirk, Picard, Cisco, Janeway, and Archer. And then they also have Tim Allen's I forget his name.
Haggard.
Oh, yeah.
Haggard.
Wait,
Haggard.
what was this?
They have Haggard, and then in the front they have Seth MacFarlane's.
Was this a picture?
Yeah, this was a picture of all the captains, and they added Tim Allen, and they
That's
added Seth
awesome.
MacFarlane in the middle because
That's awesome.
So, but yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So, but once again,
Brilliant
everybody, once again, everybody, thank you so much for joining. Hit the like button, and once again, subscribe to all these gentlemen here, and subscribe to me too, because I'm a selfish guy, and I have to, I'm an opportunist too. I have to ask. So hit that like button and check all their channels out. So once again, everybody, may the wings and Nerdporials carry you into this Orville outro. Everybody, have a good one.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.